This is the Alpha-1 solar system. It contains 3 planets. The inhabitants of these planets have been at war for 7 months. Invaders from the distant star NGC-1611 are in position to take over all 3 planets. The Alpha-1 Federation has dispatched 3 pilots to NGC-1611. You must terminate the invader power source on NGC-1611. Alright, but here's a question. Have you ever heard of a comma? Hello everyone, and welcome to Let's Play Xardion, Genesis of Aquarion, yeah, some weird anime bullshit. Alert, detection of a high-level mechanical life form. It's called Arms, and he has got Panthera. Panthera? One of the two. We should rescue Panthera. Destroy Arms. Yeah, my eyes. Ugh. So this is the base. Let's get out of here. We still haven't destroyed Arms yet. But even if we eliminate him, he may reappear later. Okay, and we just get right into it after that. If you can't tell by the fact of how weird that dialogue was and how horribly written it is, this is an early Super Nintendo game and it suffers from the dialogue and translation you would think comes with that territory. So, the thing is about Xardion is that, similarly to Metal Warriors, it's a mecha platformer, albeit a much slower one than most of the other notable ones on the Super Nintendo. However, the interesting thing about the game is that we have 3 playable characters. We start off as Triton, who is the only character in the game who can aim up and down. You can only aim down when jumping. We also got Alcides, one of the two, who is a bit more of a ranged and mage type character. The main attack is this little whip that goes a short range ahead of it, and it can also shoot forward little projectiles. Panthera we'll talk about in a few moments, because we should know what other things there are in the game at the moment. Our life and ammo are at the top left, and ammo is for special weapons, or rather, unique abilities per robot, but we don't have any of those quite yet. The number on the top right is our experience gauge. This game actually has a bit of an RPG mechanic going on, where when you destroy enemies, you get generally between 1 to 5 EXP, depending on the enemy, barring boss fights. And the more XP you get, you level up, and leveling up increases your health and ammo. And I think on the final level up, which would be level 12 in every character's case, you get, I think, a more powerful attack. What I just grabbed there in that blue cylinder is a special attack for Triton here. Every character has different special attacks for in the game, and whenever you collect them on the map, they have a different sprite. The blue cylinder is for Triton. What we have here, I think, is the active laser. It's just a little short-range laser beam. Does a lot of hits really quickly, and it's going to be very useful against boss fights. Now, one thing I should note is that fans of a certain now 40-year-old mecha anime franchise will notice that the Triton looks a bit like a Gundam, to the point where it looks like it even has a V-fin. I'm not sure if there's character art of the Triton out there. If there is, I'll see if I can find it in between parts and put it up right now. If there's not, I mean, showing up right now, that means I couldn't find anything. That's because the mecha designs in this game, particularly Triton, were done by Hajime Kotoki, who has been, I think, been a mecha designer for Gundam since the start. I know in particular, whenever they want to do like special versions of certain Gundam models, they do version Kotokis, and I even have the new Gundam version Kotoki over to my right. And now it's time for us to finally switch over to Panthera/Panthera, one of the two. Probably switch between them. Panthera is the shortest character in the game. Not only can you get into smaller areas like this, which allows us to hit that switch there and get flung up here, where we can find, I think, one of Alcides' first specials. His jump is pretty slow, but it has some good horizontal range. Probably the best horizontal range in the game. And a weird little thing with shooting with Panthera whenever you're jumping is that depending on where you are in the jump, it'll come out of a different part of the spinning little screw attack you do. Though note, it looks like a screw attack, you can't actually do any damage. Now the thing is about this game that took me a bit to realize when I first played it. Selecting specials is a bit awkward. You press select to go to the menu where you can switch between the characters, but then if you want to select a special and a sub-weapon, you have to press A upwards of 3 times. The first one selects the character, the second one selects the special attack, the third selects the sub-weapon. It's Arms again. Maybe now we'll finish him. Haha, fat chance. Because at this point, I am a bit too low level. However, at this point, we do have LCD's first special, the BL Force, which destroys any, like, really tiny enemies on the screen. However, it reduces their experience point gain from, if it's above 1, just to 1. Also notable, whenever you use a special with LCDs, you get that really flashy effect, and that's pretty common in the game, so I should actually make a pretty good statement here. If you're watching this LP, be careful if you're photosensitive, because there's a lot of flashing. And here's the, I think it's actually ACT Plasma. As you can hear, it does a lot of hits really quickly. However, at this point, I'm not only taking a lot of dumb hits, but I'm just being very dumb about how ARMS is attacking me. However, the death here is good, because not only does it allows me to talk about this game's death mechanics. When you die, you get shown the map of the game, basically. That's every level in the game right there. And when you select a level after you die, you're sent right back to the start of it. There's no real game overs in Xardion. When you die, you just go back to the world map, and you have to start the level over again. Yeah, but none of the levels in this game are long enough to warrant being really annoying about that. And since it allows you to just get more powerful as you go through the stages over and over again, while dying is annoying early on, it doesn't really pose much of a worry. In fact, I actually recommend dying a couple times to start off, and getting every character, I want to say, roughly to level 2 or 3 at this point, just to help smooth things along. With that, though, we should cut back to the ARMS fight. The thing about ARMS is that he is a deceptively large boss with a lot of ability to reach you just due to his arms. You have to hit the eye in the back, and the attacks he has namely 3 notable ones. He can have his arms spasm all over the place, and they have a deceptively large hitbox even for their size, so you need to be careful about that. He can also eventually move forward and try to punch you with them. Basically, the only safe place is to stand on this platform here or the very bottom left of the screen and crouch. He has this little spread fire shot where he fires 3 little shots forward, and then the more, not really annoying attack, in fact it's the least annoying attack he has, but the one you really want to see is those 2 little white lasers we saw in the first fight, where they circle around you because that leaves him really, really open to attack. If you can get your specials off pretty easily, there's not much to worry about in this boss fight, but you still need to be careful all the same because it's still fairly easy to get damaged. Now, I should note, you'll generally be able to tell what level I am just by looking at the experience points in the case I, have to cut out deaths and I suddenly jump up in experience points. Generally speaking, after the first level up, it takes 80 experience points per level. Though the max XP is, I believe, 900 per character, so I guess you could grind that out if you want to. It'll take forever in stage 1, but it's strategy. ARMS, more or less, is just a tedious boss fight, if anything, especially given the amount of health it has. But at the same time, I think that's to encourage you dying and getting stronger as you go. I don't know. It's kind of a weird design decision. Kind of goes along with my main complaint with the game, really, is that even though I think this game's good, it's very sluggish in control at times, and even some of the pacing of stages. Once you clear a stage, you're immediately sent into the next one. There are generally 2 per planet on the world select. A planet covered by water. The ocean sphere is home to Triton, this little robot we're playing as right now. However, notable thing, you don't just get to the world map screen by dying. You can also press start, then select, and then you can select your level from there. For instance, now I can head back to the ocean sphere's first stage and go through this again and get more experience points. In fact, I believe I do just that, and I want to say get everyone to at least level 4. It took me about a half hour, I think. Tedious, but trust me, it's going to be worth it in the long run. Let's see, did I do the grinding I'm thinking of now? Let's see if my experience points jump up at all. Oh, no, I didn't. I may have, no, what I think what I'm thinking of, I think I caught everyone else up. Yeah. Because whenever you defeat a boss, you get a lot more experience points. I don't think it's usually enough to get a level up, but it's at least like 50 plus. Now, in terms of the other items in the game, because you can see those little collectibles all over the place. The notable ones, there is the T-bomb, which I think is supposed to be like timer bomb or something, which you place down with the A button. Well, actually, no, it's the X button. A button is for specials, X is for sub-weapons, and it just detonates after a bit. However, you can also use it to destroy walls, and by destroy walls, I mean destroy that wall down there, and I think that's about it. I don't think there's many they actively have you destroy throughout the game. There's an ammo tank which completely restores your ammo gauge. there is a save item, which is very rare. I think the first one doesn't show up until after 2 stages from now. And it's essentially a checkpoint that I think acts as your save file. It's kind of weird. It doesn't really get used too much. But this room's kind of important. Life form signals ahead. Is it the enemy? Maybe. Can't tell for sure. Well, let's take a look. Oh, well, you're pretty. Careful, there's some unusual ratings here. Let's turn this octopus into sushi. Wow, he's too strong for us. Whoa, run away, we'll be back. I think you can eventually come back and fight this in the normal state of the game, but we'll come back to that way later as it is anyway. And the last 2 sub-weapons of note, there is a missile which fires 3 homing missiles that have some pretty good range. And in fact, that's going to be the one you see me use the most for boss fights. And then there's the sub-tank, which completely restores your health. Right there, we got Pantera's first special, the Torch, which is just another little stronger projectile that goes forward. Overall, if you're going to use Panthera for boss fights, and yeah, well, I really am switching between those a lot, it's better just to spam that than to use his normal attack, because Pantera's standard attack is kind of pathetic. In fact, Pantera is my least favorite robot to play as in the game, even though I think he's one of the best designs. Now, going over my history with Xardion, I only played this game for the first time within, like, the past year and a half, somewhere abouts there. But I've known about this game for most of my life, even though it's one of those things like my case with Time Squad, and I think the show's name was Galador, where I recognized it, but I didn't know the name off the top of my head. And that's because we had, I forget where it is, it might be in that little shelf I have over there. My brother had this little sort of cheat code guide / mini walkthrough, one of those sort of Nintendo powers that only had one issue, and we're just there to be like, whoa kids, check out these cool gaming tips. I remember it had this weird kind of creepy looking, almost robotic dragon with some really cool detail on it, and it had some various like early tip guides for like Mario World, and I think it showed you like how to get to the first P-balloon in the game that's not from Tubular. There was a thing on Super Ghouls and Ghosts in there and how to get the first chests in the game, Super Castlevania 4 as well. But I distinctly recall this game had a minor entry in that, and I thought it looked awesome. Just because, hey, I'm me, and I like giant robots. Who the hell doesn't, right? And that's most of my history of the game right there, and thankfully I finally played it, and it's good. You do want to be careful with Pantera as well, just given the fact that he's so low to the ground, sometimes he has trouble hitting enemies as it is. But once we come over here, we find ourselves at the second boss fight of the game, this weird water blob. I guess water sprites, just based off what's down there. The way this boss fight works is that when it starts, or whenever it's to the far right of the screen, it spawns 2 mini versions of itself that jump forward and try to hit you. While those things are jumping all over the place, the main boss itself moves forward, and when it comes out of the water, / whatever that's supposed to be, shoots out a projectile that has deceptively good homing. It will very easily turn towards you. However, whenever it's moving back towards the right, it's available to be hit. Specials are going to be very good for this fight, especially with the ACT plasma, so try and just get some quick hits in like that. Overall, just due to how the respawn mechanics work and experience, no boss in this game is truly hard, barring one depending on how you go about leveling up. Also, as unfortunate as it is to say, this is another one of those games like with Metal Warriors, where I'm having a hell of a time finding the manual online, but not in the same way as Metal Warriors. When it came to games like Metal Warriors, the manual is just not scanned to PDF at all. There is a Word document saying everything that the manual does for this game out there, but there's no PDF for that, and that annoys me. That's a part of game history that really needs to be kept intact, is manuals, because first off, they often are the only way to know the plots of some of these games, but also they usually have some pretty good arts or unique enemy bios in there that are really nice. I miss the age of manuals. They weren't quite shitter material for me. They were car ride home from GameStop stuff for me. But I miss them. I think the last one I remember reading a lot of in the car was Metroid Other M, which, wow, that feels like an eternity ago now, doesn't it? Now that I think about it, isn't it getting on 10 years since Other M was released? Either way, that's the second boss Fairly easy, if a bit hard to dodge at first, given how well the projectile homes in, even though I finally learned the way to jump around it. And this is the one of the few stages that doesn't immediately fade to black upon beating the boss. You need to head into this teleporter, and then with that, I'm going to need to end this off to here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 2, we'll be heading on to the next planet. See you guys then.